Cage review time! Yay! If you did not see my post, this video got a little bit delayed. I wish I could have filmed it earlier, but my dog unfortunately earlier this summer got diagnosed with MMVD, which is a heart disease, and the easiest way to explain it is that not enough blood is getting pumped from the heart and out to the body for circulation. And therefore she had to go in and stay, she had to get her teeth fixed, and so the risk was just bigger having a dog with a heart disease going into anesthesia. So I just wanted to, you know, be home if anything should happen, say my goodbyes, which was a bit weird, but she did absolutely fine. They did have some complications with her blood pressure because of this MMVD, but she's absolutely fine, and that's just why this one got a little bit delayed. But I am now here to film a cage review. By the way, thank you so much for all of those people that send in their cages. I actually had my concerns that maybe enough wouldn't, and I would only have maybe 1 or 2 cages, but I actually do have enough to make a relatively good video, I think. So thank you so much to those of you that did. I know that it can be a lot to have me sit here and judge a cage that you have obviously put a lot of work into and whatnot, but I do hope that you will see this as constructive criticism. I'm not trying to, you know, attack you or talk down to you in any way. I just want to help, and hopefully some viewers out there can be helped as well. So thank you so much for sending in your cages. I really don't want to be too harsh, but I also want the message to come through if some, you know, really necessary upgrades or whatnot are needed. So let's give it a try. So you should have a big screen up here right now, and I'm gonna look down here in the corner because that's where I have my PC, just so you know why I'm not looking directly in the camera. So first up we have a very cute Senegal parrot. Also a very underrated species, actually. I forgot what the family is called, but you know, the family with the Senegals and the Myers and these kinds of parrots. Also very chill and quiet, quite like a pionus, as far as I've heard. I'm not an expert on those species, but he is super cute, and this is the cage. Now it is a very tall cage. If you don't know, parrots in nature, they really like to sit in the trees, of course. And when you have a cage that is very tall, the parrots are very unlikely to utilize the bottom of the cage. So if you're looking for a bigger cage, try and look for one that's pretty wide instead of very tall. Now, it is a good solid cage, you know, this is not a pet store cage, which I'm happy to see. It is still a pretty good size because they aren't the biggest of parrots, but I would maybe look to go a little bit wider, though it's not anything that needs to be rushed or anything, because it's still a very pretty good sized cage. Now you are saying that the little cage here in the side is his sleeping cage, and I was a bit confused by that because now Charlie just sleeps in her cage, and I was wondering why you don't just let him sleep in the bigger cage. Maybe it's placed somewhere where it's a bit hard for him to sleep or anything like that. But you know, the sleeping cage thing is fine. The thing I am a bit worried about is that you don't have a lot of perch variety. So in the big cage, as far as I can see, is there only a dowel perch in the bottom? It looks like there's only a dowel perch like in the bottom, and not only does that mean that he has to sit a bit further down, which can be a bit uncomfortable for him, but he also has a dowel in the sleeping cage, so he doesn't have a lot of variety when it comes to different perches. And it can be okay to have a single dowel in your cage, that's fine. The problem is that when you buy these cages, they often come with dowels and only dowels, so your bird won't get a lot of variety with their, you know, feet or grip, which can result in them getting bumblefoot, which is basically a foot disease where they get sore under their feet and whatnot. And also their nails can get pretty long from that as well. Now, I don't see a lot of perches, so that would be a good first upgrade to put a lot of different perches in. You can get natural perches. It doesn't have to cost a lot. You don't have to go to a pet store. You can go outside and you can find some perches. Just make sure that they're bird safe, of course. Put some boiling water over them to just get rid of any bacteria that should be there. Dry them off, and then you can just put them in the cage. You don't have to make any modifications. The natural perches I have in Charlie's cage, I've just tried fitting in. I haven't done anything with them. They're just from outside. And with a cage this big, you also have the opportunity to do that. So that would probably be my first recommendation. So here he is playing with some toys. He's so cute. But I do see that it is plastic toys, or these small plastic balls, whatever. Now that can be a bit dangerous if he should bite them or, you know, break them to a point where they have these very sharp edges, and so he could cut himself on that. So I would be a bit worried on that, and maybe try and find some more natural toys, something that he can destroy, because he can't destroy this plastic as well as he could with some other natural material. You do have this one down in the corner that looks extremely fun, and also just natural materials that he can shred. That's a pretty good toy. So more of those. And then I actually like how you have this rope perch sort of diagonally through the cage, or this boing, I think people call them. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen them being used like that. But also rope perches, it's the same with plastic and such. Be careful they don't ingest it and chew in it. If you see that he's very interested in chewing in it, maybe remove it, or I've seen people put it outside the cage so that they can keep an eye on it a bit better whenever they aren't home and so. So I don't think I have a lot more to add. Now I do know that it looks very bad, or can look very bad, with the sleeping cage, because it is a very small cage, but there's nothing wrong with having a cage that your bird only sleeps in. I would just maybe add like a natural branch instead of the dowel, and then also maybe one toy if he's, you know, comfortable with having a toy in his sleeping cage. Just because whenever he might wake up early or something like that, he doesn't chew in the bars, because these bars are very thin and the bar spacing is sometimes not the best. It's a bit hard to see the bar spacing on this little cage. But it can be pretty bad. So I would just maybe add one toy and then replace the perch with a natural one, and then you can have it as a sleeping cage. It's completely fine. Next up is an adorable cockatiel. I think it's a he. I think, yeah, he is super adorable. Oh my god, that's so cute. So, ooh, this cage is similar to Charlie's, and therefore I like it more. Just kidding. So I think this cage, I obviously like it. I have it. Reason being that the bar spacing is really good for these small to medium birds. They are horizontal, I think. Is it vertical? Horizontal, yeah. They are horizontal, and therefore it's easier for the birds to grip onto the bars. It is, you can see here that the cage is wider. It's also tall, but it's still wider than the cage we saw before. And I can see here that you have fallen into the trap of making the top super exciting, which obviously that's where they spent most of their time, and then neglected the bottom of the cage. And I completely get that. It's hard to make it all work, because as soon as you put stuff on the top, you have to think about whenever the bird sits on a perch, it's gonna poop, and that poop could fall on just some other branch that's in the bottom that they're not gonna use anyway. So what's the point, right? However, I would still try and make the bottom a bit more exciting. Maybe just a couple of branches and maybe a few toys. It doesn't have to be as exciting as the top part, because I do get why you would use most of the toys and the energy at the top, but maybe still just add a little bit in the bottom. So a few branches, few toys. However, what you do have in the top is actually pretty cool. I think these are some DIY toys, and this is a great example of how to DIY some toys, because I love this foraging toy that's a bag, I think, but just with holes in it and all of these paper shred thingies inside. I also really like the perch variation that you have. Some are bended, some I see you have a calcium perch, natural branches all over. All of the toys are also natural shreddy thingies. You have, what do you call that actually? You know, those for eggs. And egg thingy. Yeah, you have that on the side, and that's also a good idea for a toy, as long as it's clean, of course, and there's not any bacteria inside and whatnot. The cage comes with stainless steel bowls, so I'm gonna assume that's just what you use. That's also awesome. So yeah, I actually really like what you have going on in the top. That's very cool. But I would maybe add something in the bottom, just a couple of branches or anything, because it does look pretty dead down there. So I can also imagine that you already know that it's a bit dead down in the bottom, but it is hard to sort of figure out where you can put some branches and whatnot. So that's what I would focus on. The rest actually looks pretty decent, pretty good. So yeah, he's super cute. Look at him. Oh my God. So next is actually a cage for a pionus, and it is a bronze wing named Estelle. So she has a few words behind the cage setup, foraging options in the kebab, and the wee thing above the swing. That's awesome. A third detachable steel bowl for fresh chops, veggies and sprouts. Super good. Branches at the bottom despite the droppings, because she likes to throw down her pellets, then climb down to pick them up and sit on the top of the lower perches while climbing on pellet. So she jumps. Oh my God. Birds sometimes have weird habits whenever they eat. So she likes to drop it down and then go down and eat it at the bottom. Charlie likes to take her pellets to her water bowl, dip the pellets in the water, and then eat it because it's softer or something like that. It's very bizarre, but all right. And not a lot of chewing option because he doesn't care for them. All right. And if I have any good ideas for a night cover, or for it to look better, that could be great. All right, so let's take a look at the pictures. So here's one of the cage. Oh my God, look at her. That's adorable. I love bronze wings. They're so cool. They look like hawks, but in a parrot. So overall, the inside of the cage looks super good. I see natural perches. I see the bird kebab, that's an awesome toy, and you said there were foraging options in both this giant toy in the middle, which is, by the way, super good toy. You have some seagrass and natural materials. You also just have this giant chunk of wood, which is awesome. Let's take a look at the cage here. Oh, it's this type of cage. So actually, after working at a pet shop, I can sort of, and I know a lot of the cages that you can buy. This one is pretty okay because a lot of the cages that are made out of wood won't have any bars that the birds can climb on. So this is actually a pretty okay model. It's also a good size. Be careful, however, that you're not going into the making it too tall and not wide. But I think this is sort of the limit. I wouldn't go any, smaller or, yeah, you know what I mean. So we have a sand perch, and I love these sand perches. You can't really see it on the picture, but these sand perches are smooth on the top and are only rough in the bottom and on the sides. That way, whenever the bird sits on a sand perch, the inner foot won't get irritated by this sandy texture. It is only the nails that are getting filed down, which is the purpose of the perch. She was just running around on the floor. So, but with these kind of perches, you don't have the sandy texture all around so that their feet get irritated. You can also just get a softer texture all around these calcium perches. That is also completely fine. So, but this is a good one, and it's on the outside of the cage. That's also totally fine. I love this whole ass carrot just chilling in the bottom. We've all been there, I think. So overall, I think the inside of the cage looks totally fine. Again, with the rope perch, watch out that she doesn't chew in it. Also with this ring that you're having with the loose fabric in the bottom, be careful that she doesn't get entangled in that or anything when you're not home. I would maybe add a bit more perches on the opposite side of where the food bowls are. You have this whole midsection where there aren't a lot of perches or toys. Maybe just add 1 or 2. I'm not saying that you need to add a whole lot because it is a pretty good cage setup. So for the covers, do I have anything to make it prettier? I mean, I would maybe just go out in like a fabric store and look for anything. It could be like a table cover, it could be, yeah, go out and look for anything. As long as it keeps the light out, it's totally fine. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of aesthetic you're going with, but I really like to just go with natural colors. You can go for a bit darker ones so that light isn't coming through as much. Now, you do say she doesn't care much for chewing, and I actually do think that her beak is a bit on the long side. So you could say that's why, but I obviously don't know what her story is. She might be a rescue or whatnot, but her beak is a bit long, so maybe that's why. But I mean, if she bites in these toys that you have hanging here, the bird kebab and this solid piece of wood, I mean, that should help with getting her beak trimmed a little bit, and that is also some fine textures to chew. You know, maybe teach her to chew. It is a thing that you can teach a bird to do or play, and at least provide her with some opportunity to do so should she get the interest. But thank you so much also for sending in your cage. So the next cage is from Michelle from the Netherlands. And she says, congrats on the 500 subs. Thank you so much. We're actually almost at 600 now, which is insane. So this is for a Galah named Echo. Oh, I love Galahs. Galahs are like, I want a cockatoo, but not the big crazy one. Sorry, cockatoo owners, but that's a big beak on a bird that's known for being a bit crazy. So sorry, but Galahs are very cool. And here we have the cage. So this is always, I think this cage like form is so interesting because it's like a bit lower on one end and then higher on the other end. Because I mean, I would only picture the bird using the higher end of the cage, but I could be wrong. It's obviously a good size, like it's wide, that's good. Because I could be afraid that the bird is only utilizing this taller part, but it doesn't look like it, and you have actually made it so that it looks very interesting all around. So we have some toys and perches. You did say there were 6 different perches in different sizes. That's awesome. And a couple of rope perches, and you know, rope perches, they're fine. It's a good rest for the bird's feet because they are soft. Just, you know, if you watch out for that chewing part, it's totally fine to have rope perches. Some good wood toys, and all of these perches look awesome. I see a stainless steel bowl, that's always good. And you have this wood ladder in the top, that's cool. I also like this sort of cork platform, or bark, it's not cork, I mean bark platform. With these wood thingies on the side, lots of chewing options while still having a lot of space for the bird to walk around. That's awesome. Yeah, platform perch. Yeah, I actually really like this cage setup. It does look like, I don't know if it's just the picture that's a bit weird, but it does look like that you could add a bit more on like the middle section in the taller section. So on the left side, compared to the picture, on the left side of the cage here in the middle, you could add a bit more toys or branches, but I don't know if that's just the picture cheating a little bit. I really love the tree stand that you have to the left of the cage. That is a pretty cool tree stand. I think it's Java wood, I think that's what it's called, and it's so cool. And you have this, giant rope perch, basically making an extra branch. That's cool. And then you have this, what is this toy up here? Is that a shopping cart? a small shopping cart with like paper shreds in. I don't know what that is, but just if it's some sort of like hard materials, just always watch out whenever it's not wood, that it's not something that can break and harm the bird. But oh my god, I overall like this. Maybe I would not go smaller on the cage because Galahs they're larger than a pionus, not much. I actually don't know how large they are compared to African greys. I think they would go under the same size. So maybe I wouldn't go smaller on the cage, but it does look like he's out and about on the tree stand and whatnot. So that's overall fine. You are saying that you don't want to overcrowd the cage. So maybe it is just the picture. Yeah, he has that ladder on the top. That's totally fine. So cool. Yeah. I mean, overall, this is pretty cool. Thank you so much, Michelle. I don't have much to add other than that, maybe a few purchase and toys down there in the bottom. I can see that he gets out time, else you wouldn't have a bird tree stand in your living room, it looks like. So thank you so much, Michelle. So last one we gotta look at today is from Shakira and her bird named Flint. And Flint is a cockatiel. Oh, I love cockatiels. So cute. Are there any pictures of Flint? Oh, there is. Look at him. Oh my god, he's so round. So let's look at the cage. Again, it's one of these, you know, big wide cages. I love those. So cage size is absolutely amazing for a cockatiel. You have a lot of platform perches. That's not often you see like people make these kinds of levels with them, but I actually really like it. You have one in the top and then one in the middle and then one outside the cage, it looks like. That's actually pretty cool. I rarely see people use platforms this way, but you still do have perches, and the perches look natural and good. The toys look absolutely amazing. You have a lot of these, do you call them finger traps? I think you do. You have a lot of those going on. Awesome. I love this seagrass shred here in the corner. The only thing I think is that you do have this plastic chain thingy. Again, as with the others, look out that he doesn't make any plastic splinters or something like that he could hurt himself on, or bite them to a point where they could be sharp and harm him. But that's mostly with bigger species that I'm worried about that happening. But still just a thing to look out for. I also see some of these hangers that you have, or what? Am I looking at something wrong? I don't know what this thing is, if it's just to close the cage. I think it is, but just be careful that like they aren't very sturdy, those type of hangers. So if he should go up and bite in it, he could get like his beak stuck in it or something like that. But I don't know if it's just to close off the cage and that he actually can't do that. It's a bit hard to see. But stainless steel bowls, you have lots of toys. Make sure the dies are safe. I'm sure you're doing that. I do see that you don't have a grid on your cage. I actually forgot to look for this at the other cages. But when you don't have a grid like in the bottom of your cage, especially with the small species, it can create some hormonal behavior, because if you have paper or anything like that down there, newspaper, they can make sort of a nest out of it by going under it or just shredding it and using it as nest material or whatnot. Charlie likes to hide under it whenever I'm cleaning her cage. So it is something to look out for. But overall, Shakira, I really like this cage. You have done a great job with it. There are lots of different toy options. The whole cage is just filled with toys and branches and whatnot. So really awesome job. Thank you so much for everyone that sent in your cages. I think it is super brave to send in cages for me and the people watching to look at. I really hope that it helps some people. I might have overlooked something. If you think that I overlooked anything that you want to maybe shed some light on, leave a comment so that people can read it. That would be awesome. I hope I wasn't too harsh. Maybe I was too gentle. Let me also know if you want another format, because I tried to just do it out in one go. to make it as genuine as possible. Didn't want to edit a whole lot or take everything 2 times, you know. So thank you so much for people sending in your cages. Remember, you can still always just send in cages to my email. It's Stelloandcharlie, not Stelloandcharlie, Stelloandcharlie at gmail.com, and you can send in your cages, and if I have enough, I might make another one of these. Or you can also send in videos or something you want me to react to or talk about, and I might make a video on that as well. So it's just a good way for me to get some ideas and for you to get me to talk about some stuff you want me to talk about. So that is it. Bye.